Hi everyone, welcome to or back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Sammy and I like to yap about books. And today I'm going to be going through the best and worst books of the year so far. So this year I have read 65 books so far, and these have been in mixed formats. So a lot of the books I have read have been audiobooks, and then it's Kindle and physical. So I've got a few questions that I'm going to run through, and I will write up a list and pop them in the description in case anybody wants to comment on their answers as well, because I do love to natter about what other people are reading. So first question I've got on the list is best new author. So for me, this year has been all about Saratoga Scaefer. I absolutely love her style of writing. If you've watched any of my previous vlogs, you'll know I absolutely loved Tradwife. She also wrote the Serial Killer Support Group, and I absolutely loved that one. And I'm currently reading The Last Time We Drowned by her as part of the Summerween Scarefest. I also have her newer book that is coming out, 1,000 Monstrous Forms, I think it's called. So I'm very, very excited about that. It's on the TBR. But yeah, her writing style is absolutely amazing. It draws you in and you just get addicted to whatever she's talking about on the page. Tradwife, for me, I still think about that book to this day. I cannot wait for my signed copy to get here because I'm so excited. But yeah, her style is so good, and she writes from really different angles as well. So in the Serial Killer Support Group, in it we follow a woman whose sister has been murdered, and she infiltrates a support group for serial killers, and they go and they talk about why they do what they do, their signature kills and their styles, and the way that story goes as well just blew my mind, because I thought it was going one way and then I all of a sudden knew what was going to happen, but I absolutely loved it. It was brilliant. So yeah, Saratoga Scaefer for me, definitely one to watch. And she's one of those authors where I'm like, I definitely want to read it. Don't care what it's about, I will read it. So I would definitely recommend her books. The second question I've got is a book that you couldn't put down. So for this one, I picked Dear Debbie by Freida McFadden. Normally, it takes me 4 or 5 days to read a book. I know that's quite a long time, but for me, it's the average. I read Dear Debbie in 3 days, which is really fast for me. Dear Debbie is a book in which we follow Debbie, who is an agony aunt for the local newspaper, and she writes for herself. She writes very brutally honest and funny but very twisted advice for the column. And we find out that her unhinged answers aren't the only thing about her that's unhinged. She actually does things in real life that just make you think, oh my god, she's absolutely crazy. I loved it so much though. It was so addictive. What was she going to do next? Every chapter was like, oh my god, she can't do anything worse than this. And then she takes it up a notch. And it's crazy, but I absolutely loved it. So I definitely recommend that one. I think that is my favourite Freida McFadden book that I've read so far. The next question that I have is a book that you thought you wouldn't like. So I picked Molka by Monika Kim for this one. I've tried to read a lot of translated fiction, and I know this isn't translated fiction, but it kind of, to me, was of the same kind of wavelength. I don't know, there was just something about it where I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to like this. But I was very lucky enough to get an ARC copy of this, and I absolutely loved it. In Molka, we follow a young woman who is grieving the loss of her sister. And she also becomes the focus of a secret camera scandal. And it's all about the fallout of what's captured on these cameras, and we have another person involved as well who's his storyline just riled me but in a good way. It was riling, but I was interested in where it was going. And yeah, I've read a lot of really mixed reviews about this, but I personally absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliant. And the ending was quite sad, actually. But it was justice. That's all I'm going to say for that one. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was really well written. It kept me engaged. I just wanted to know where it was going to go, and what I liked about this one as well is that I couldn't quite tell where it was going to go, and I really like that in a book where you don't know like the trajectory of where it's headed. So I definitely recommend that one. The next question I've got is the most surprising book. Now, I picked Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson. Now, I had heard so much about this book. I heard it was really good, and it was like one of the best horror books. And I do agree. It's absolutely brilliant. But I was very surprised because for, I don't know, like 80% of the book, you're reading it and it's very like calm and lovely, and there's a few red flags, but you're like, there's this like creeping dread, but the end is absolutely shocking. Like, my jaw was on the floor. I was just absolutely, like, it's brilliant, but it's like, it goes from 0 to 60 in like 5 pages, and it's crazy, and it is very graphic, just as a little warning, but it was brilliant. It was such a cool way to end it, and yeah, and it's such a short book as well. But I think as well, that was a surprising element to it as well, that it's such a short book, but it packs such a punch. Because again, it's one of those books that I haven't stopped thinking about, and it was actually very difficult to narrow down like some of these questions that I've got, and I was just like, oh, I've read such amazing books this year. I mean, January alone, I think I read 15 books, and that's the most books I've read in a month throughout this year. And I read some absolute brilliant books in January, and to narrow it down was very, very difficult. But yeah, Bloom is definitely one of those ones that I keep thinking about, and I just keep recommending to people. Definitely. It's a must read. And I feel like if you're not into horror, I feel like it's a really good starter book, because like I said, that first chunk of book where you're lulled into this kind of false sense of security, but you also do have that underlying dread, and then boom, I just think it's brilliant. Can't recommend that one enough. Anyway, swiftly moving on to the most disappointing book, and for this one I struggled between two for this one as well, but Hex by Thomas Olde Heuvelt, I'm so sorry if I pronounced that wrong, had to take it for me. So I will describe the book first, just so that you're aware if you've not heard of it. In this book, the town it is based in is cursed by a witch. Now, this witch is chained, her arms are chained to her body, and her lips and eyes are sewn shut. And this witch can appear wherever she wants, whenever she wants. She can be down a supermarket aisle as you pick up your bread and eggs, or she can be standing at the foot of your bed watching you sleep for 3 nights. And the story kind of they want to kind of break the curse, especially the younger people in the town, and they try and like do things, and it just didn't work for me. I think the premise of that story is absolutely awesome. What could be freakier than living in a town, and you couldn't escape this town, by the way. Once you were in it, you were part of the curse, so if you left, the curse would kind of stick with you anyway. Something bad would happen. And yeah, the premise of this, really, really cool. Who the heck would not be scared by a hundreds of years old witch who can just pop up in your house whenever she wants and just watch you eat or watch you sleep or just stand there and look absolutely terrifying? But it was so boring. The way it was written was so boring. The things that happened, excuse me, throughout the book did not make a difference in the end. And the end was just chaos. And I just hated it. And it was one of those books where I very much debated on DNFing, and I was like, no, it's gonna get better, it can only get better, this is such a cool like idea for a story. Excuse me. And it just didn't. It, if anything, it got worse. And that by the end I was just like, I have wasted my time on this book. And it made me really, it kind of made me like sad mad, because I was like, you've taken such a cool idea. No, just, it wasn't for me. And I get some people might really love it. I have read some like reviews where people rave about it, and I'm like, I don't think I read the same book as you. I don't think I read the same book, because it just bored me a heck of a lot. And there are some really dark things in that book that happens, and I don't get what it had to do in the end with what happened, which was very frustrating, because the stuff that happens was actually quite difficult to sit through. So check the trigger warnings before you go into it, if you go into it. But I just it just wasn't for me. Now, my answer to the next question may cause some comments, because I I thought about this for a long time, but I'm going to stick to my guns here. And it's not that I didn't enjoy this book. It was a very good book, very good story. For me, it was just very... Well, I'll tell you the question first. This is most overrated book. So, just to confirm, I did like this book. It was very funny. It had its moments where it was really good. But I did think that from what I'd read on Bookstagram, Book Talk, internet, I felt like it was a little bit... people were saying it was like the best book at the time. And I just didn't feel like it was amazing. So I picked Dungeon Crawler Carl for this. And I will reiterate what I said when I did the vlog about it. I do not think I would have finished this book if I was reading it physically. I listened to this on audio, and the narrator of that book was absolutely amazing. He stunned me. So the narrator, I forget the person's name, I'm so sorry, but he does all of the voices. So when I first went into this, I didn't know that much about it. I knew the premise of the storyline. But when I listened to the audiobook, I thought it was like a full cast. No. It is one man doing all of the voices, and he is amazing. The way he brings this story to life is absolutely brilliant. I felt like I was listening to a film instead of listening to an audiobook. It has like sound effects, and he does, because Carl gets put into like a simulation situation, good lord, he gets, it's kind of complicated to explain, but he gets notifications, and he sees like a gaming screen, and the way this narrator brings that to life is just crazy. And for that, I absolutely loved it. I did think the story dragged on a little bit. I did think it didn't end how am I trying to say this? Because I felt like it dragged out, I felt like the ending was very much needed at that point, and I kind of got a little bit bored. I haven't listened to any of the other ones, and I haven't decided if I'm going to, because I don't know if I have the investment in the characters enough. I absolutely loved Princess Donut. She stole it for me, above any other character, even Carl. Carl was okay, but I didn't love him. So yeah, I just don't think I'm invested enough to carry on with the series. And I really do think that everyone on the internet was so like, this is absolute genius, it's perfection. And it was good. It's a very interesting idea. But for me, it just dragged a little bit much. And like I said, if I had read the book physically, there's no way I would have come up with all of those like voices and the like notifications and stuff, there's no way I would have experienced that the same as I had when I listened to it. So I think my enjoyment of it is a great deal owed to the narrator of the audiobook for bringing it to life. So I would love to know if anybody has read any of the other books, any of the following on books, what they thought, and, you know, is it worth investing the time in? If I do, it will be an audiobook because they are hefty books, and I think, I think you're just missing out if you don't listen to it. But yeah, I do think, unfortunately, it was a tad overrated for me, in my opinion. So, moving swiftly on, we are going on to favourite genre of the year. Now, I have been reading a lot of horror this year, and I have loved so many horror books this year. So I checked on my Fable account, and it does say horror is my top genre of the year, quickly followed by thrillers. And yeah, I'm glad about that. I have wanted to step away from fantasy, romantasy, and head into horror a bit more. Excuse me, and I feel like I have done that. I absolutely love the horror genre as well because of how diverse it is. There is so much that can happen. There are so many themes and so many... It's just so cool. And I feel like I get into it more, as in, like, I can talk more about it. If that makes sense. It kind of sounds weird, but I feel like you can relate things in horror to real life a bit more, whereas with fantasy it is a little bit more difficult to do that. Not that I don't still love fantasy. I mean, I've just not read as much this year. I'm trying to think of what fantasy books I've read Human Rights, but I wasn't in love with it. Tusk Love from Critical Role, I did enjoy that one very much because I love D&D. And Dungeon Crawler Call, which was sci-fi. But for me, horror is winning this year. Horror and thrillers are absolutely where I am loving. Yeah, I just need to read more. And I am really enjoying doing the Summerween at Scarefest. I am on book 4, I believe, now. So I've still got a good few books to go. But I'm really excited to see what I love. And yeah, I'm excited to just read more horror. Like, I'd love to read more classical horror books as well. Like Rosemary's Baby, American Psycho. So watch this space. I will try and get it done. So sticking with the horror theme, we're going to ask, what is the scariest book I've read this year? And I'm going to pick Diavola by Jennifer Thorne. This is such a creepy book. So in this book, we follow a young woman who goes on holiday with her family to a lovely villa. And the villa is surrounded in, like, mystery. Like, whenever they ask the locals before they check in, all the locals go really quiet. And they're like, you're heading where? Are you sure you want to do that? And they still go. You would have thought they'd be like, what's happening here? But no, they still go. And there is a tower in the villa that's all locked up, and the caretaker, as they check in, is like, do not go in that tower. So you can guarantee they go in that tower. But before they go in the tower, lots of creepy things start to happen. And I think for me, this was scary because the entity follows her home and takes over her life. And it's so well written. And it's so, like, the main character throughout is so creeped out and so, like, fearful of what's following her. And just when you think it's all over, and, you know, at the end when she's like, she's going to be free of this thing. It's like those horror films where they're like, oh yay, the demon is gone. And then, you know, you see something out of the corner of your eye and you're like, oh, it's not over. I would absolutely love a sequel to Diavola, but I don't know. I don't know. I just think it'd be great how much it has affected her life, and I think that would be absolutely brilliant. Now, I'm going to go on to the worst book of the year so far. And this was a toss-up. I was debating on putting Hex down for this, but I had a little flick through my reviews on Fable and found one that I rated even worse than Hex. And this is Moonflow by Bitter Karela. And I was gutted by this one. So gutted. So in this story, we are following a trans woman who grows mushrooms for a drug dealer. And the drug dealer wants the newest, rarest type of mushroom for her clients. So she asks our female main character to go to a wood where this specific mushroom grows, to go and collect some so that she can start growing and distributing and all that. And she gets to the forest and things start taking a turn. And I thought this was going to be amazing, and it just was absolutely crazy, and in the worst way possible. I think I mentioned in my vlog, I am not somebody who is against, like, bad language. I think it can add to writing sometimes, but this book uses such crude language that it just put me off. And it wasn't just every so often, it was 3 or 4 words that just made me be like, I'm sorry, what now? Every sentence. And it just got to the point where I was like, I don't think I can finish this. And it just felt like the storyline just went absolutely mental. At one point I didn't know what was happening. There are other characters that get introduced, and I just feel like it was such a poor representation of a community that should have been really, like, it could have been such a positive story for the community that it was trying to represent, and it just wasn't. For me, it was absolutely awful, and it put me off. And I just don't have anything positive to say about this, and I really wish I did. I hate saying this book was really not good, but for me, I just did not enjoy anything about this book, unfortunately. Moving swiftly on, we are going to talk about the best book of 2026 so far. And I think you all know, if you've watched any of my past vlogs, what book I'm going to say. And it is Trad Wife by Saratoga Scaefer. So, if you don't know about Tradwife, we are following a young influencer who has moved to her dream home so that she can live out her Tradwife life and post it and influence people to do more of the same. The only thing that she's missing is a baby. And she thinks that this is the only thing that is keeping her from getting her views up and pushing her followers and becoming a real big influencer. She has a slightly unhealthy obsession with another Tradwife influencer, and she, at the beginning of the book, she's very much trying to get this influencer's attention, and she wants all the praise from her, and she wants to be friends, and it is very desperate. She's desperate for success in her field. And I absolutely love the way Saratoga Scaefer writes this, because you get fully into the character's mind, and it does become where you're like, okay, she does need this. This is what she needs. This is the only thing that's keeping her from like booming as an influencer, is this child. So you really vouch for her and you want her to get it. The only problem is her husband is getting more and more distant, and he is actually having an affair with someone. So she is kind of very naive and very, everything will be fine if we just communicate, and it's all very, she is all very lovely and, oh, everything's going to be fine, everything can work out. And she goes off onto her land, and on the edge of their land she finds a wishing well, and in the well she wishes for a baby. And let's just say she gets what she wants, but it is very much not in the way that she thinks. And I just absolutely love how she gets what she wants, but it is very different to how she imagined. She cannot post about it on her social media platforms because of the way everything comes about. Her pregnancy is not humanly traditional, shall I say, and she gets no content out of it whatsoever, and things gradually get worse and worse and worse. But what I love about this is, as things get worse, she starts to change. She starts to see that actually the social media is an addiction and she doesn't need it. And why should she be doing all of this for the applause and the love of people who are very fickly supporting her? And she goes through an absolutely amazing change, and I cannot rave about this book enough. I still think about this book way more than I should, because it's set in my brain and I love it, and the way it's done is just brilliant. I don't want to say much more. I don't want to spoil it, but I want everyone to read it because I just think it's absolutely brilliant. I've read some other Tradwife books after this one, and I think I set myself up for a fall by reading this one first, because the other Tradwife books I've read were just nowhere near as good as Saratoga Scaefer's brilliance. Yeah, that's all I can say about that one. I absolutely loved it. I am going to give some special mentions to some books that I couldn't fit in with the with the questions. So I do want to mention Blood on Her Tongue by Johanna van Veen. I listened to this on audio. Absolutely brilliant book. I think it's my favourite one by Johanna van Veen. I think I said that about Bone of My Bone, but looking back now, I think Blood on Her Tongue was brilliant. If you don't know about the story, in it we are following a young woman who helps uncover a bog body. And this bog body has a stone in its mouth. And I believe she's like a scientific researcher or something along those lines. And she accidentally cuts her finger on the tooth of this bog body. And she falls ill. And the illness gets worse and progresses very quickly and is not just an illness. There's a lot more to it. That's what I'll say. And this is one that there is a moment that lives rent-free in my head for the shock factor. Because when I listened to it, I remember I was at work and I think I sat up like a meerkat and I was just like, what? It's gory. This one is gory. I will preface this. It is a gory book, but oh my gosh, so good. I would actually like to reread that one, I think. And Tradwife. I'm gonna have to maybe do like a whole reread vlog at some point where I just reread my favourites so far this year. Maybe that would be a good one. Johanna van Veen, I did debate putting her down as my favourite new author, but Saratoga Scaefer just had to have it. I have also read, what is it called? My Darling Dreadful Thing and Bone of My Bone by Johanna van Veen. And they were really good as well. She, a lot like Saratoga Scaefer, has a really cool writing style. And it's one where you can just see what's happening. And I love that in a book. So yeah, I would definitely recommend her books as well. Another one that I want to give a big shout out to is Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. This is a reimagining of Karela. And I loved it. I loved it so much. I have a physical copy of it now as well. And it's just one of those books where the female main character goes on a real like 360 journey of like, oh, I'm like, woe is me, I'm tethered to these men who rule my life, and then 360 at the end and she's free, and it's feminine rage at its finest. I loved it. Another one, another feminine rage book is Maeve Fly by C.J. Leede. I devoured this one, absolutely loved it. She is unhinged and I'm here for it. So Maeve by day is employed as a very well-known theme park princess. And she does all the meet and greets with the kids and the photos and the parades and all that. And by night, she is not so innocent. And this just gets worse and worse because of things that are happening in her personal life. And the things that she gets away with is just nuts. There's one scene, again, that just rent free in my head. She puts some Halloween decorations up, and they are bones of someone, and police come to her door and they comment on these decorations, and she's like, oh yeah, they're lovely, aren't they? And oh, crazy. It's absolutely nuts. But yeah, I wanted to shout out those three as well because they are so good. Like I said, narrowing these books down for this vlog has been a nightmare because I've read so many good books this year. But that's where I'm at with those. I did just want to touch on some of my most anticipated books on my TBR for the rest of the year. So, I did mention earlier A Thousand Monstrous Forms by Saratoga Scaefer, and that is an ARC book. I do have that on my Kindle. I was debating reading that straight after the book that I'm reading by her next, but I do have the Summerween Scarefest stuff to read, so it may be like I read it straight after that. Just looking at my notes, that book comes out on the 15th of September, so I do have time to read it before it comes out. And then I'll let you guys know what it's like. I'm sure it'll be brilliant. It sounds amazing. I've also really looking forward to Dollface by Lindy Ryan. That is one of the books on my Summerween TBR. So that is already out if you wanted to get a copy. Another one I'm looking forward to, well, the next three actually aren't out yet, so we'll talk about those. Monstera by Delilah S. Dawson, and the cover again, oh my god, is absolutely gorgeous, and it just sounds brilliant, so I'm really looking forward to that. That comes out on the 13th of October. Another one, now I'm not going to lie, this caught my eye just because of the cover, and it is Milkteeth by Caitlin Starling. This comes out on the 22nd of October. And then another one that comes out on the 27th of October, as you all know I'm a massive ACOTAR girly, is the new ACOTAR book, which I'm so excited about. We don't have a title for it yet, which I don't know whether to be worried or excited about. But I'll definitely be reading that. I know I'm going still like in my horror era, but if an ACOTAR book comes out, I will be there. Take my money. Nothing else needs saying. Because I love me an ACOTAR book. And it would be so nice to go back to Prythian again. I was debating doing a reread/listen of the ACOTAR series before it comes out, but I think I just have too much to read to get through before October. And yeah, most of those other books comes out in October. October is a very good month this year for books coming out. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, other than that, books on my TBR, there are so many that I'm looking forward to reading. I've got The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose, The Inmate, Ward D, and Want to Know a Secret by Freida McFadden. I have all of these books on my TBR shelf. There's just so much to read, so I'm very excited for the rest of the year to see what happens, to see what I read, to see what I love, and then at the end of the year I can ask myself all these questions again and let you know if anything's changed, because you never know, somebody might pip Tradwife to the post for favourite book. We don't know, we'll have to see. But that is the best and worst of the year so far. And that's where I'm going to wrap things up. So, let me know what you think in the comments. I will, like I said, put the questions in the description so you can read them and answer them. Let me know what your answers are. I love chatting to see like what everybody else has read and what everybody thinks. Yeah, I want to know. And what books are you looking forward to for the last half of the year? Because again, I'm always on the lookout for books to add to the ever-growing TBR list. But yeah, So I'm going to wrap this up here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope your reading is going well, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.